Hello, hello, everybody. What is up? Tonight we're looking at week 4 of the SPM GT3 League. We've got a little over half hour of practice left before we go into quali here. Like I said, we're at Brands Hatch this week, so it's pretty flowy, momentum-based track. So hopefully we get another good turnout today like we've had the last couple of weeks and continue having some great racing. No, we had a great time last week. Yes, sir. Get it poppin', says Christopher. I'll fucking do that. Just trying to get a few things set up real quick.
I'm just trying to slow down. I want to see what your livery is because I noticed you changed it. Is that like is that a custom livery for you? Where'd the Vans one go?
There we go. Just a couple seconds behind there on that, but it's close enough. My freaking chair is being really squeaky today. Not sure what that's all about. Check on the stream real quick. Chris, if you're still in here, Christopher, can you let me know if the audio balance sounds good as far as cars and whatnot? That sounds a lot better on my end, from what I can tell. I've switched up some stuff since last time to try to make the audio sound better. Alright, should be good now. Got that shared out. Wish my chair would quit being noisy. Being a squeaky thing today. Riding along here with Michael Tangretta. As he's coming out of the pits here into T1. So far, timing-wise, we've got Mason with a 22.0, Chuck with a 22.8, Seth with a 23.4, Deadpool with a 23.6, General with a 23.7, and Michael with a 1:48. But looks like he's only had a lap or two here, so he will get a better representative lap, I'm sure, here coming up shortly. See, Michael's gonna come out and try her again, it looks like. I wasn't really watching there to see if he had an issue or anything. Looks like he ran wide there. Yeah, Brands Hatch, though, it's definitely one of those really flowy tracks where you just kind of got to get that rhythm. It's a big rhythm track all the way through. It's really good spec map on that Mustang of General's. What we got here? Gregorio. Just gonna call him Greg, I think. Makes it a little more streamlined for the broadcast. Just calling him Greg. Back in that Mav Motorsports Mustang. Oh, I just see that Greg actually subbed last time that we were streaming here for the last, or for 2 week ago's race for in the GT3 league. Closing in on 28 minutes here till till qualifying. Looks like Michael's definitely starting to pick some pace up here. Had a 1:32.9 last lap. For some reason that didn't show as his best. It looked like a pretty clean lap so far. He should be down in the 20s here. There we go. 25,504 from Michael Tangretta. Getting that car into shape finally. Deadpool's moved up into that second position for practice timing. He's with a 22,751. Mason's still sitting at the 22,039. About a 7/10 lead there in time. I don't know that we'll have any other commentators with us tonight. It may just be me. I think our other guys are busy doing other things, so it may just be me. Maybe kind of a solo broadcast. Hopefully we'll be able to bring some energy into it, though, once the actual race is going here. Got Greg coming back out. Oh, bit of an issue there for Seth Hatmaker. Ooh, another issue for Greg. I'm just going to have to remember to start calling him Greg. But yeah, last round we saw another good win for Mason there. We saw him actually crack and have a bit of a issue into one of the turns. Lost a few spots with some damage. Managed to make them all back and still get the win at Imola last 2 weeks ago. Last round. Florida man in the Buckies. Corvette. Just ran a fastest lap last time of a 22.856. Finding some more pace out of that car. Looks like Mason's still sitting in pits. Figured he'd be out running. He usually runs the whole hour. Michael Tangretta with a 142.032 last lap, so he's making up about another second there. Oso slows back. Got him in here running now. He's got a 25.7 in his first flying lap there. One thing I found surprising, we've yet to see Greg set a time. Just noticed he was not on our timing board yet. There we go. We got Greg on the board now with 27,269. So off the pace a touch there, but he'll be bringing that back down, I'm sure. Ooh, wide there from Seth. I think he had issues with that corner a minute ago. If I recall, they're into T1. Get a look at Oso in the Porsche 911 here. Oh, yep, maybe. Let's see where High Racing wants us to go. The Helium Mobile number 13 Porsche 911. Oh, bit of an off there. Some stop traffic. Gotta get these yawns out of me tonight. I don't know what's going on. Currently only got 3 cars on track with still almost 20 minutes left in the practice session. I don't know if Mason's maybe trying to hide his hand a little bit here. Not running the whole session like he usually does. Got Seth back out after that off into T1 there. Still riding along with Oso. Looks like Gregorio's going to come out and give it another run. Oh, we got a spin out back there from Shaman. Shaman joins the fray. So that should put us at 10 cars at the moment. Yeah. At least 10 cars, unless there's a few other people that haven't put in laps yet. Shaman, another one of the multiple Corvette runners in this league this time around. I know last week, or last round, a few people had mentioned running the Corvette because they thought that it'd be unique, but I think everybody had the same idea of uniqueness and everybody ran it. Little announcement update though. I do believe I got my pedals fixed. So they've been working. I've been running them for about 2 nights now. So hopefully we'll be able to get back into the fray soon and actually be driving here. I didn't want to hop in this week just because I didn't really get any practice for the track. But into next round here, round 5, we will be at... I can't remember for some reason. Why can I not remember? Just a second here and I'll tell you. If I can get it to load. We will be at Spa next week. And then Watkins Glen, Mugello, and Nürburgring I definitely plan on running Spa and Watkins. They'll still be streamed, just be a little bit different because I'll be driving. But Spa and Watkins will probably be running, and then the last 2 weeks we will commentate probably. Still not a ton going on track here. We've got about 5 cars out currently. Closing in on that 15-minute mark. Oh my god, I can't quit yawning. Oh, a little loose rear end there. Greg got a little pushy through that corner. Not pushed, but Shaman got a time on the board now, 24.1. Currently the only driver sitting in the 24 range. We've got Oso at a 23.997, and then Greg behind him with a 25.2. Greg with another spin out. Oh, that's hairy. Tried staying in the throttle and getting the car to turn back around, but that was almost a problem for Michael there. Yeah, Greg's really wanting to get out there and get another time set and bring that representative time for practice closer to the field. See just how low those Corvettes are sitting there through the dip. Bottoming the car out. Got Shaman and Michael here, both Corvettes, doing some close driving in the warm-ups. Shaman's definitely well above the pace. I think he's probably already on warm tires. Michael running wide to let Shaman by there. Another wide berth there for Michael. Getting us a nice little group here for practice. 4 cars pretty close to each other within about a second here. General, I believe, is just out on a warm-up lap. Whoa, big off there. I'm not sure what the cause of that was. Hopefully it wasn't a contact. Oh, no, he got wide, maybe? I think he got wide into the grass. Maybe. That's what it appeared to happen. Go back to most exciting here. Closing into that 10-minute mark here. We got about 11. Whoa. Sideways there from General. Just nearly avoiding Michael. That was hairy there. Looks like we've got 11 in. 12 including me, but I'm not running. Whoa. Big sideways there from Seth. Got Chuck back out here doing some final warm-up before quali. Shot him with a personal best last lap of a 22.2. Moves him up into second position, only 2/10 behind Mason. Mason's coming back out to warm himself back up a little. Chuck's back out, so the track's definitely warming up, getting busy here towards the end of practice. Just after that 10-minute mark. Ooh, a little slide there from Chuck. Florida man had a personal best his last completed lap. That could have been a little bit ago, however. I believe it was. That 22.767 putting him into fourth position for practice. Lee. Check in from the missus there. Alright, coming up to that 8-minute mark. 8 minutes. Nick's yet to set a time for practice. Just north of Mason here. Oso with an issue there, spun around. This race is going to require a lot of, I don't want to say attitude control, but just not pushing yourself too hard to try to keep your car in a good position here. I feel like a lot of people are going to get anxious and try to over push the car. Well, a save there by Seth. That was Greg, sorry. Welcome, whoever's watching. Thanks for coming in and hanging out. We're in the practice session for the SPM GT3 League, round 4. We're at Brands Hatch this week. Got about 6.5 minutes here until quali starts. But feel free to Drop a chat, leave a like, subscribe. Welcome, welcome. I see we've got 2 people in here hanging out now. Thanks for coming in and watching. We're finishing up the practice session here for the SPM GT3 League. It's... Ooh, sorry, I was watching there. They were going wide. SPM GT3 League at Brands Hatch Circuit. We are running the Grand Prix layout, so 9 turns, 2.3 miles. We've currently got 11 cars in. Hoping we'll have a couple more hop in here late. We usually have about 15 or 20, so hopefully we get a few more that hop in here tonight to continue their points race. Timing update. Shaman took P1 there with a 21.9 on his last lap, so that's about a 10th quicker than Mason for practice. Coming up to that 5 minutes remaining mark.
Hey Jordan, whenever you joined, did you come in to watch, or did you actually register a car?
My car's registered.
Okay. You know you can go in and just pretty much like just watch, right?
Yeah, I know there's a spectator mode. I just wasn't sure if that would like take away any of the view or anything. I don't know.
No, it won't. You get all the same cameras.
Gotcha. Well, I plan on racing the next 2 rounds for Spa and Watkins.
10-4.
Still be streaming them though. Getting a little feisty running here, just in a practice mode. Mason running with Nick.
Carter should be there for spot 2.
I'll talk to Norman. Hopefully Norman will be able to make it too. Pushing our last laps in here as we come to that minute-and-a-half mark. Right before we come into some good old qualifying. Oh, Nick running wide there. Just trying to do what he can to stay with Mason. Looks like we've had at least one more person join. I saw Triple C there on the relative. Not exactly sure who that is. They're in a McLaren. Number 14 McLaren. Should have at least 12 drivers. Alright, that'll be it for practice though. We're going to head into qualifying. Rounding out our practice times. We've got Shaman P1, Mason P2, Florida Man P3, P4 Chuck, P5 Deadpool, P6 Michael. Oh, just lost. 7th Hatmaker, 8th General, 9th Nick, 10th Oso, 11th Greg, and 12th would be Triple, but he didn't have a time up there for the practice session. So on we go to qualifying. Let's ride with... Let's check Deadpool out. He's still waiting. Just now taking off. Mason's still in. It's like a lot of people are taking a second here to get their tune loaded. We'll watch Seth. It looks like Seth took off right out of the gates. So coming down that middle quick stretch of road here, flat out all the way through. Taking their time, getting tires heated up. Greg and Nick out. Mason's out. Was that a spin there that I heard? It was. Nick, a bit of an issue there before the straightaway. Chuck still waiting. Looks like just about everybody else is out though. Seth ought to be our first one on their flying lap though, so let's watch this. Diving into T1, using all the track. Car looks good through there. Ooh, a little bit wide there, slower on the throttle. Looks like that's going to cost him some time. A little late braking there. Wrapping the car up nicely for the straight. Been a decent lap he's put together here. Nice clean exit through there. A lot of gravel on the track. Coming around the final sweeper here. Let's see what kind of a time we get in. That'll put Seth P1 provisionally with a 26.7. Not sure who's going to be next here. Looks like Mason will start his flying lap. Oh no, that was a flying. Sorry, yeah, I'm behind now. So Shaman P1 with a 23.4. Mason P2 with a 23.5. Seth P3 with a 26.7. It looks like we may have had a few invalid laps through there that first roundabout. Not many. There's a few more times coming in. Shaman, Mason, General, Nick, Michael, Triple C, Seth are your top 7 as of right now. Not sure if Deadpool's just now on a flying lap. He should just now be on one. Shaman's second lap was, looks like it was invalid, so he had an issue there. Let's see where Deadpool's at. Deadpool puts in a 23.715. Mason takes pole with a 22.063 provisionally. Chuck moves up into 4th. Pretty sure Deadpool still has another lap. Just gonna say most exciting here to finish this out. Got another 4.5 minutes of quality time though. An outstanding lap by Mason there. 1.4 seconds to the green for P1 so far. On board with Chuck here around the final corner. Not sure if this will be a flying lap or if he's already ran his 3. Chuck to improve his time back up to P4 with a 23.001. Let's see, Deadpool is not out. I swear he had another lap. Maybe not. Not noticing any changes here in the starting order. I think everybody now is just on their, just cool down laps. Let's check the results here. Florida man did not have a qualifying time. Interesting. Wonder if that's intentional. I feel like he did say last round that he was wanting to start in the back to be able to battle more in towards the back of the field and work his way up, or try to. So that might be what he's working for there. Well, I'm going to say unofficial results, because we still do have another minute and 20, but I'm pretty sure everybody is already through both of their laps. So, unofficial results for qualifying, we've got Mason P1, Shaman P2, Deadpool P3, Chuck P4, Nick P5, General P6, Michael P7, Greg P8, Seth P9, Oso P10, Triple C 11th, and Florida Man bringing up the tail of the pack in P12. Alrighty, yeah, everybody's brought their car in, so that should be your final rundown. Just waiting on time to expire here with 10 seconds remaining in the session before we line them up and get ready to go green. I can get it.
Damn, good one, Deadpool. You outclassed Chuck this time. That doesn't happen.
He's been sick. I'll give him the excuse.
Feel better, Chuck.
Alrighty, there we have our starting order as everybody begins to take the grid.
Thank you, sir.
I was trying to say it during practice earlier as well, but I like your new livery. If it's made specifically for you or your team livery or whatever it is, it's a cool livery, man.
Thank you. Yeah, I made it. I'm in an SROL league, and I had to make my own.
Yeah, it's sick. Good luck in that league, bro.
Thanks, man. Good luck tonight. I think I'm gonna start with the pits.
Alright, here we go. We'll begin our formation lap. I know I missed the start. What are we gonna do? As we slowly take our time to run through the pack. Everybody's single file coming through the straightaway here. Trying to get as much heat into those tires as possible. I feel like that's going to be a big critical step here into the opening of this race. Get those tires nice and warm, be able to take that turn one with as much grip as possible. I mean, having big, windy courses like this that require, a lot of rhythm. Just, I feel like tire temp's going to be a big step in the start of this race here, so we'll see how that plays out as we're looking too wide again. It's going to be a pretty interesting coming through this section here. Too wide if we do during the race. Offline there with all that gravel that's in the way. Coming around to the final corner here, the pace car will be ducking off here momentarily, and we will be underway. The pace car dives in. Mason takes the pace now. Here we go, green, green, green. Mason immediately jumping to that outside. Gonna bring a longer row to that outside. Mason, Sham, Deadpool. Everybody looks clean through the back. Into the second braking zone. Too wide in the back end of the pack there. Sham and Mason both are running off from the field here early. 9, 10. Oh, we've got a spinner back there. That appears to be... Who was that? That was General. That's what I was thinking. Unfortunate for General there. Everybody else in the field looks to be alright. Shaman and Mason still making great pace through there. Deadpool about a second behind Shaman. Shaman just trying to take advantage of all that dirty draft he can. Just to keep that Corvette right there on the Ferrari's bumper. Oh! There it is. Too much. Just as I had talked about there in the pre-race. Oh, that's going to be big damage for Shaman. Lost the rear wing. That's going to hurt. Going to bring him down to... Not exactly sure. Probably P11 or so there. Let's check back in. To the front. Mason's got about 1.8, 1.9 to P2 and Deadpool there. Still about a 2-second lead there to the front. We're going to hop over to most exciting. See if we've got any battles going on in the pack. Looks like P6 through 8 are pretty close back here. Yeah, let's check this out. We've got Oso in the Porsche, Florida Man in the Bucky's Corvette, and Greg in the Mustang behind the 3 here. Florida looking up the inside there. That Porsche just a touch. Just seeing if he can find any clean air to get around him there. See if these three cars can kind of work with each other instead of against each other to make their way back up into the front of the field here. Oh, so just try to keep his wits together here, keep the car straight. Nose facing forward. Going around the outside here. Can't make the move stick, going too wide across the finish line. The Mustang's looking, following behind the Corvette. Can he make it stick? Using all the track into the green runoff. That Porsche Oso just pulling back out. Oso takes the inside through the kink there. Makes it stick as the Mustang has a bit of a grip deficit there. There was an off deep farther down the track behind there. I'm not sure who that was. Current P11, maybe General, maybe Shaman. Looks like there was another issue there with the P8 car. Not sure who that would have been. There's too much going on all at once. We're watching Deadpool currently in P3. Looked like I guess he would have had an issue there to give Nick back P2. Or give Nick P2, not back, but just giving it to him there. Mason is sitting 4.3 currently ahead of Nick. Not sure what that was. We're looking at pretty even gaps right now all the way through the field. See what kind of lap times people are going to put down here. Who's this in P10 currently? Is that Oso? Oh, we've got an off again. Number 8 car. General and Chuck, do they have an issue there? No, I don't think so. Looks like Chuck just had a single off. Hang on. Whoopsie. Didn't mean to hit that. There we go. Looks like Deadpool's still about a second here behind Nick. See if he could find any way to get back up there. P9 with a yellow flag. That was Chuck. Must have ran just wide. Early on here, it's just been a lot of self-sabotage, it seems like, from the race. No contact incidents, really. Just people being a little overzealous into the corners. Which, like I had said in pre-race, that could be a big thing to watch for here. Oso's in the pits, I see. Must have had some damage to that car. current fastest lap in session, Florida man just ran a 23:149. It's about a 200th quicker than Mason's fastest lap so far. Florida's sitting P6 currently. So now that he's at the front of that little group they had back here, he's going to try to push that Corvette back up into that front pack a little more. About 2.8 seconds behind Florida is Greg in the Ford Mustang. You can see if he can find some pace into that car to move him back up into the group up front. We have 11 cars running currently. Looks like General had another issue. Deadpool trying to close the gap back here on Nick, 6/10 behind, making up some time there. Mason's pulled, he's actually lost a little bit of time. 3.4 behind, or sorry, 3.4 ahead of Nick. Could have had a slight issue, lost some time. Nick still gaining time. Deadpool gaining time right there behind Nick. Lots of spread in the field right now. Got a really big gap between P7 and P8. 10th to 11th, a pretty good gap as well to round out the back of the field there. Deadpool half a second behind Nick here. Slowly just trying to reel that Mustang in. Still closing that gap to Mason there to P1 Nick is. Deadpool sitting around that 6/10 behind Nick. They were down to 2.2 to Mason in first there for a second. Mason could be struggling with some tire temp issues potentially. See, we're at the 31-minute mark, so let's say within the next 10 minutes here, we should be coming up to pit window. Well, honestly, the pit window should be open, I would say. Within the next 2 laps, I'd say pit window will be open. check on back here, see how we're doing. We've got Florida Man chasing down Seth Hatmaker. Two Corvettes keeping pace on each other here, trying to find their way back up into the lead pack. Followed by Greg about 4 seconds behind them, roughly. And we've got Chuck, General, and Shaman. Sorry, I keep doing that. Running side by side here with a bit of a battle at the back of the pack. Oh, there's some contact. That's a big one. Man, it just doesn't get any worse than that for Shaman today. Starting up in P2 with some big contact there coming around. Not exactly sure what had happened there. Oh, come on, iRacing. Not the time. Game's froze. Hold on a second here. Come on. Yeah, it just looks like General sort of drove down into him there. I don't know that it was anything intentional per se, but yeah, that's a disconnect for General and Shaman both. Oso's out as well. We've got the Corvettes here chasing each other for P5 and 6, trying to get back up to the pack. Deadpool still sitting half a second behind Nick. Nick catching up to Mason slowly here, a 2.4 second gap to P1. We're slowly casting that reel out there, trying to bring him back into play. 2.1 seconds to P1 here. 2.0. Yeah, this podium's going to get a lot tighter here, it looks like, as we come into the pit window. Michael in P4 looking at the rear end of Deadpool as well, potentially trying to make a move. Really tight front four here. P7 has a issue at the back of the pack. Thank you, Oh So Slow, for the follow, or for the subscription. I appreciate it. Who was that? P9, work hand. Oh, that was a reset, wasn't it there, I think. Triple C, I believe, had an issue there. We're dropping them like flies today. Back at the front of the pack here. Mason, 1.3 seconds ahead of Nick. He's lost a lot of pace in that Ferrari. I don't know if he's got some sort of damage, possibly tires coming off the car. Looks like tires. Car looks to be in good condition. Deadpool doing what he can to make sure he keeps that gap to Nick next to nothing. Still 6/10 of a second between them. Mason only 1.1 seconds out on Nick at the moment. Still reeling that Ferrari in. Mason's just unusually off the pace right now. We'll say Brands Hatch has definitely taken its victims today. Like I had mentioned pre-race and practice, just have to watch from over pushing. Try to keep your head level through the race to keep the front end of the car facing forward. 9/10 of a second gap now to P2. Mason's going to be looking in that rear view mirror thinking something's up. As Nick and Deadpool quickly close that gap. Michael 1.7 to P3 here. This top four is going to make it interesting here to the pit window. We've got 26 minutes remaining, so I would say any minute we're going to be looking at fuel stops. We'll have to go back and check and see what had happened to Oso there to cause him to retire from the race. But it did look like that incident between Shaman and General. That looked like General may have dropped down a touch and just gotten into him, and the rest was history. Mason taking a peek there in that rear view mirror and realizing the ground that these cars behind are gaining on him. Trying to pull back some of that time out back to a 1.8 second lead here on Nick. Deadpool 7/10 behind Nick. Michael still sitting at that 1.8 second mark. Chuck a lap down as well, opting to start from the pits this race. I think he was just looking to get a decent finish here, hoping that lots of other people were going to drop out, and so far that plan's worked for him. As Triple C moves back up moves up into P9 due to some retirements. Deadpool's right on the tail end of Nick now, as Mason's pulled back to 2.8 seconds ahead. 2.9. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Self-inflicted incident, oh so slow said. But yeah, I don't blame you for not wanting to just drive around solo. Deadpool still looking right there, half a second behind Nick. Michael starting to pull that gap in, as well as Florida Man, 1.2 to 6.1 now in P4 and P5. Says Mason was cruising around at a leisurely pace. Yeah, I believe it. Starting to get a little worried there as Nick and Deadpool were starting to close the gap back in on him. I keep hiding out on accident. Crap. Mason with a 22.6 last lap into a 123.3 for Nick, so put the go-go juice back down, and he's pulling that gap away again. Deadpool sitting 6/10 behind Nick. Michael 1.2 behind Deadpool. Florida Man also reeling in quite a bit here, 4.9 to P4 there from the 5th spot. They were getting too confident. Mason had to show them what was up. Yeah, I would imagine. Pulling back almost a 4-second lead here, 3.8 as we look at the 21-second mark remaining. Still got a few spots open on the podium here. Looks like we've got our first taker for the pit road as Deadpool comes in. Going to try to get a nice undercut here. Hopefully, for Deadpool's sake, he can get this undercut to work and bring him back around Nick and try to push that pace towards the front on Mason there. But I don't know if anybody's going to have enough pace to really catch up to him there. Mason 4.5 seconds up on P2 of Nick here. Michael 1.4 behind. Oh wow, Greg and Triple C also with a retirement. So that leaves just like 7 cars. Wow. Deadpool sitting P6 after his pit cycle. Michael just kind of being the quiet killer back there, slowly reeling Nick in, gaining some time. So we've got Florida Man just, what, 2.5 behind Michael. And there's Deadpool after his pit window. Mason out for a nice Sunday cruise with a 4-second gap to P2. Definitely haven't had all the action so far that we had last round there at Imola, but it's still been a good race nonetheless. The top 4 are close here, within a few seconds of each other. Those podium positions are all, well, I guess I would say top 5 actually once you get the pit cycle back through for everyone. All top 5 spots are still up for grabs. Deadpool with a 23.8 after on his warm lap here. Should be a second lap out of pits. Nick 3.1 to Mason in front. 1.7 to Michael. Seems he's lost a bit of pace. Florida 2.8 behind Michael. Florida Man's going to start feeling some of that draftable air towards the back there. Going to try to use that to his advantage there to really get closer to that final podium position. There we go. We've got another taker. Nick, Mason, Nick, Michael. Looks like Florida Man stays out, so he's going to temporarily take our P1 position. Let's watch the run out of pit road here. See who got in the box the best. See who's going to get out the fastest. See if this undercut's going to work and give Deadpool a bit of an advantage here. Oh, wow. Faster off for both Nick and... Yeah, faster off for Nick. Nick takes a big jump over Mason here. Michael Tangretto about a second behind Mason. Deadpool about a 1.5 seconds behind Michael. That's going to bring this group here real close. It's going to be interesting to see Mason hop his way, or attempt to hop his way around Nick. See how wide Nick can make that Mustang. It's already a really big car. He's going to try to make it a whole lot bigger. Florida man yet to pit with a 26-second gap to Nick in P2. Well, let's see who can really get back out there and just push the car. I don't think anybody would have taken tires there, so everybody should still be on warm tires. Just a matter of getting back on your rhythm. Florida man duck into the pits this time, so we're going to watch as our lead group here comes back up to the pits. Yes, it should make for a great finish. Mason's looking up that inside. I can already tell you he's going to be playing a lot of mind games on Nick. That's his game. Make you think you're going one way and then go the complete other. Here we go, coming out of the pits. Not a bad spot there. He managed to hop, Florida man managed to hop Michael in the pits there. So he had a really good in there, good in lap. So we're just going to add another car to this really tight top 5 here to see where we can wrap this up with just under 15 minutes remaining. Mason to the outside. Doesn't stick it. Nick continues to make that Mustang as wide as he physically can. Florida man looking on the outside of Mason, saying, oh, you're going to look at the Mustang. Well, here's my Corvette. Still looking through the outside of the car there. Mason up the middle of the track, letting Florida man look at that the whole way through. As those two are fighting, Nick's going to take that opportunity to try to pull a gap to the lead here. Mason pulls him right back in. Nick with a slow exit through the corner there. Going to be side by side. Nick with the inside line. Mason going to try to switch back. Keeping that inside defensive line for Nick. Mason going to shoot back to the outside to look. Mason's doing those mind games, trying to make you think you're going to go inside. Hops back to the outside. Runs him wide, side by side here. Still got the inside for Nick. Mason going to try to flip the switch back in the Ferrari. That's clean. Florida looking up the inside of the Mustang now as Mason takes P1. Side by side through the corner. Mustang gets a good exit. One second through our top 5 right now. Roughly. Let's see if these guys can keep it clean for another 12.5 minutes. Try to really make this a race to the finish here. If all these guys can keep level-headed, don't overwork the car, and try to keep that rear end planted. We already saw it a lot earlier in the race. People overworking that rear, losing grip, spinning out and getting damaged. It's not what you want. Deadpool flashing there at the back of the pack. Telling Florida man, get that Corvette out of my way, son. Side by side, Corvettes here. Michael looking up the outside. Yeah, outside. Going to give that position. Mason a little bit into the gravel there. Give Nick a chance to hop back into that draft. And right there up to the bumper again. Still side by side with the Corvettes. It's a good battle back there, but unfortunately for Deadpool, that's costing him time to that P1 and P2 position. Deadpool right on the bumper of Michael here. Trying to stay in line with these Corvettes. And meanwhile, Nick and Mason have pulled away. Nick's got about 8/10. Sorry, he's got about a second now to P1. Looks like he lost just a touch there towards the end. I switched camera mode. Sorry, flash warning. Try to get back to the camera angle I want. There you go. One by one through the carousel there. Deadpool off the pace a touch. Looks like he had a bit of a slow sector there. All these guys sort of drug back out. Almost half a second between each car, maybe to a second. Mason had the fastest lap of the group last lap there with a 22.9. 23.6 from Nick, a 23.5 from Mason, or Florida Man, and a 24.0 from Michael. You guys are going to want to tighten that up here this lap to try to keep those top 1 or 2 cars from walking away. Florida Man with a great lap, though, I can already tell you. He's pulled a big gap to the cars behind. Deadpool actually gets around Michael. Michael must have had an issue there in the black Corvette. Florida Man's only 0.5 behind Nick. .2 to Mason in P1. Florida all over that bumper now with a Mustang. Waiting for that Mustang to kick out or have a slow exit to try to jump all over him and take that P2 position. Deadpool 1.8 behind Florida here. Michael 2.7. Shout out to Seth Hatmaker for being a trooper back there and hanging out in this race with us. Still has a good chance to make up a spot or two, though, if these guys get a little bumpy here. A little argy-bargy in the last couple of laps. We've got 8.5 minutes remaining, so still got time for about 5 laps, roughly. 4 laps, 5 laps. Florida Man with the fastest lap of the group last time with a 22.6. Like I said, he was really pushing. Let's see, he's got the fastest lap of the group this time. Looks like Mason's going to take that honor by a decent bit with a 22.8. We got a 23.4 from Nick, a 23.4 from Florida, and a 23.1 from Deadpool. 23.1 as well from Michael. So Deadpool and Michael gaining a little bit of time back on Florida there. As Florida is still just looking right there at the bumper of that Mustang, waiting on a move to be made. Can't get much closer to him than he is right now, giving him a flash, trying to make him think about it. He's not gonna hold anything back here. Telling that Mustang, hey buddy, I'm here. Making him aware. Florida Man's gonna keep himself glued to that bumper to try to make a move. Hard on the brakes, watching their line there to try to avoid all the gravel. Next pull off just a touch from Florida here, still 4/10 of a second. Let's see what kind of lap times we've got here from the group. Florida Man fastest lap out of the group. Michael had a invalid lap. As Florida looks to the outside of Nick there to tuck the car back in through the initial sector. Pulling out wide, going to try to get a good exit and run through here. He's right on that bumper again. Shadow through shadow, looking to the outside. They're side by side through the corner. Onto the straightaway. The Mustang's going to have the horsepower advantage through the straight. As Florida gets the inside of the kink. Coming up to the right-hander here. Florida's going to have the inside as well. and locks it through that corner there. Nick looks to the outside or to the inside to potentially retake the position, but thinks better. What a move by Florida man there, just sticking to his ground and holding that line. Did a great job positioning himself to the inside and making it happen. Mason with a 2-second gap to at P1 now. Florida 2 seconds behind P1. Nick just half a second still here behind Florida. Deadpool a second and a half. About a second behind Nick. And then Michael about a second behind Deadpool. Everybody running these mid to high 23s last lap. Rounding it down, we got 4 minutes and 45 seconds. Probably got enough for 2 laps and a white flagger here. Maybe 3 and a white flag. I would say 2. Most likely. As Florida made his move around Nick, and he has just put the pedal to the metal now. He is not wanting to get back into that fight at all. He was about 2/10 quicker over Mason on that last lap. 1.1's the gap to P1 now for Florida. Nick about a second behind Florida. Deadpool about a second behind Nick. Michael about another second out from there. So we've all got about a second between each car. As we see who can stick this here with the last just under 4 minutes left. Gonna see if we can get anybody to push a little too hard here and make a slight move to tighten the pack up. Florida man about 8/10 quicker on that last lap. Managed to reel a lot of that time in. Still gonna have to keep pushing. .3 is the gap to first now. Just as Florida starts to make some of that time, Mason sets a purple lap though with a 22.1. Florida though running a 22.2, so only about a 10th off there. Nick's dropped off the pack as well as the other 3 behind. Could see a little bit of a battle into this podium here. 2 minutes remaining. We're going to keep an eye on that, but we're going to go back here to this 3 group from 3rd to 5th for the battle for 3rd. Michael might be just a touch too far out of sync to be able to make a comeback into this podium battle here. Deadpool very much still in it, however. One small mistake from Nick, and Deadpool's going to be right there in contention for that position. Gap for P1's looking close. Let's go in and check up here again real quick. Mason with a 7/10 lead. See what kind of lap times we get here. Florida takes fastest lap back with a 21.947. Mason with a 22.5. Florida man is absolutely wringing every bit of that car that he can right now. A minute and 2 remain in the session, so it looks like we're going to get 2 more laps. Still 7/10 to P1 for Florida. So we hop back real quick to check on our final podium position battle here. Deadpool just 4/10 behind Nick here. Deadpool looking, giving him a headlight flash. Let's check in on our first 2 positions. Mason 3/10 of a lead here. Should be the white. Oh no, that was the end here. What a finish. Mason takes it by about half a second. Nick's able to hold that position off from Deadpool by 3/10. So a close finish there as well. Nick just went ahead and put the car out there for the end. Let's see if we get some shenanigans here at the end of the race. We typically do. No shenanigans this time? What is going on? How do we not have any shenanigans?
Yeah, GG, Florida. GG.
There it is. Mason's getting them some donies. Well, that's 4 in a row for Mason. Somebody's gonna have to find the answer for him, or he's gonna have a
Good luck,
perfect
wife.
season.
Man was so fast he forgot to map his radio.
Well, guys, I think that's gonna call it for this stream tonight. It was a great race by everybody. Looking forward to in 2 weeks when we come to Spa. As I mentioned, I should be driving that one. That's the plan, at least, is to drive it. So we will go from there. Hopefully we'll get some streams in before then, though, and we'll talk